The Dyson Show, the movie, starring Joe's self-driving car.
Me, not my self-driving car, me!
I finally made it to the big screen. Of course, I had to film it myself and buy my own big screen, but...
Hey folks, they asked me if I was living on a fixed income. I said no, it's broken.
When we were growing up, we were all taught to say please and thank you. Why, even as a child, Elvis Presley was taught to say please and thank you very much. Thank you very much. A guy told me that he had ED. Well, months later, I found out the truth. His name was Ed. That's what he was telling me. His name was... I'm starting to feed my kitty dog food. He's become quite a watch cat. Watch cat. Okay. I like to take my cat bowling with me. He's an alley cat. More signs of global warming as the glaciers are getting notably smaller in the pool at Motel 6.
They told me to get off my high horse. I said, okay. Ah!
I asked the lady how her surgery went. She said that it was a face-lifting experience.
I asked my uncle why he never had a kid. He said that he didn't want to chip off his old block. Hey, they asked me if I ever did the twist. I said every time I open a bottle of scotch.
The doctor asked me to rate my pain on a scale of 1 to 10. I said 10. He said, that's impossible. If it was a 10, you'd be unconscious. Mr. Dyson? Mr. Dyson?
I said that I went to a fire sale. They asked me how big the fire sale was. I said 3 alarms.
The guy insulted me by saying that I couldn't walk and talk at the same time. Well, I marched right over to him and said, what?
When I took the girl home, I asked her if she kissed on the first date. She said yes, but not on the last one. Yesterday, somebody actually accused me of giving a bath to a pig. I said, that's hogwash. Hogwash.
If gas prices go any higher, car thieves are going to start returning them. The doctor wants me to eat egg whites from now on. I guess yolk is over.
I said, hey, you're only as old as you... in California, they raised the smoking age to 21. Hell, that's when I quit smoking.
How come cat burglars steal everything except your cat?
My wife wants me to get out more. Why, just this morning she said, get out!
I've got one of those new computerized toilets. To flush it, I just Control-Alt-Delete.
My self-driving car's autopilot isn't very good. It landed at JFK instead of LaGuardia. And then it lost my luggage.
I wouldn't mind gun owners if they just wouldn't say, stick 'em up. One cannibal said to the other cannibal, did you like Charlie? He said, no, I hated his guts. I hated his... The doctor told me that I can't eat chocolate anymore. I said, well, you may as well give me the lethal injection drug then. He said, I can't. It's chocolate flavored. Oh, I found a way to keep from being thrown out of restaurants. Eat outside. I don't understand those new waterless urinals. I mean, it wasn't waterless when I was using it. It wasn't. My wife asked me if I was ever close to death, should she pull the plug on me? I said, only if I'm in the electric chair. Pull that plug, baby. I took 365 vitamin pills this morning. I'm using this new brand called Once a Year. Get it over with. This year I started to make a bucket list. And I realized I only need one bucket. What the hell do I need a list for? Do you realize that if Timmy had a cell phone, Lassie would have become obsolete? Wouldn't have needed him, just call. Okay. I was quiet last night, so my wife said, "Cat got your tongue?" I had to signal the cat to say yes. It was... You know, at the racetrack yesterday, I bet on a horse with no name. Now I don't know who won. He had no name.
The service department at my car dealership offers a free shuttle service. Yeah, they'll shuttle you over to the bank to get more money.
I'm not joining Facebook. I'm holding out for a different body part.
My self-driving car broke down yesterday. I had to self-walk. The doctor told me that I had double vision. I said, "What? What?" He said, "Oh, by the way, you have double hearing too." My uncle has a green thumb, which is real helpful when he's hitchhiking. People see him for miles.
My wife is such a bad cook that she can burn sushi. Several golfers were shot today on the driving range by a man who thought that he was on the shooting range. Then they were run over by a man who thought that he was on the driving range. Hey, I found out how to stop those calls from the collection agencies. Don't pay your phone bill. My friend said that his father was on his last legs. Aren't we all on our last legs? They installed one of those automated toilets down at my local tavern. Now, it automatically flushes the second you're done throwing up. It's amazing. They asked me how my elective surgery went. I said that I lost the election.
After she broke up with me, I kept hearing that song, "One Less Bell to Answer." Why I let that woman wear a bell, I'll never know. Now I miss it. They asked me why I bought such a skinny cow. I said because I wanted low-fat milk.
Oh, I got bad news. The girl of my dreams woke up. My uncle said that I was a wide-eyed radical. I said, "What? What?" No, I hate it when the kids of today start correcting me. Like yesterday, some kid said, "Hey buddy, your pants are pulled up." The guy asked me how to get to the backpacking camp. I told him to take a hike.
After reading Oliver Twist, they asked me if I wanted to read Great Expectations. I said, no, I'm full of the Dickens. I'm full of the Dickens at this point.
During the sentencing, the accused man was told that he had used bad judgment. The prisoner said, "Don't be so hard on yourself, Judge."
I asked my doctor how long I had left. He said I'd probably outlive him. So I asked him how long he had left.
They asked me when the shooting occurred. I said right after the gun went bang! You know, a friend of mine told me that he's been in the hospital since I saw him last. Yeah, apparently I backed over him while pulling out of the driveway.
You know, I've decided it's just too dangerous to use my cell phone while I'm driving. Just yesterday, I'm driving along, my cell phone rings. I answered my can of beer. It was terrible.
The dentist asked me what was wrong with my tooth. I said that it tastes great, less filling. I'm initiating a new policy. I didn't ask, please stop telling me.
I told my self-driving car that it had been recalled. It said, "See you later."
A friend of mine works for Head Start, but he couldn't go to work this morning. He couldn't get his head started. You know, I want to do synchronized swimming, but my sink isn't big enough.
You know, just like in the song, every morning my wife says a little prayer for me. God, help him find a job.
If you lose your voice, don't call the doctor.
My dog ate. Okay, let me try again. My dog. These dog jokes. My dog ate my shoes. Now he squeaks when he walks. I knew it wasn't worth it. Okay. I put my dog on a diet. I bought a lighter pair of slippers. I was warming up my singing voice. Me, 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 me. When my wife said, "It's always about you, isn't it?" Me, me, me. You know, phone numbers are so complicated nowadays. I mean, first you have to dial the 1, then the area code, then the whole phone number. I mean, back in my day, you just had to dial M for murder. That was it. Now it's like, if you know the murderer's extension, dial it now. If not, stay on the line for the next available murderer. It's so difficult.
That darn security camera. My wife caught me not mowing the lawn.
During my off-road mountain bike ride yesterday, I caught air and I was styling. In layman's terms, I ripped my pants. That's how I caught air and was styling. My office spouse is always telling me, "Not tonight, I have a husband." They asked me to name one of the Beatles, so I called him Fred. That's what Don't try to eat fast food when you're driving. Why, the phone rang yesterday and I answered my hamburger. Last night I was in a food fight. I got punched right in the head of lettuce. I asked my doctor how to get rid of the wrinkles. He said to wash in woolite. There's no middle ground in the hot dog industry. There's either wieners or losers. Wieners or...
They asked me if I could play the keyboards. I said yes, I'm up to 65 words a minute.
My dog went to obedience school and got a master's degree. Now if he could only figure out that I'm his master, that would really be nice. Automakers warn that those little backup cameras should not be used to look at girls. A North Carolina woman gave birth to the largest twins ever born. When asked about the delivery, the mother said, "Ah! Ah! Ah!" The psychiatrist said that I had a fictional girlfriend. I said, "Oh yeah? Well, how come she gets pregnant in chapter 2? They asked me where I lost my virginity. I said if I knew that, I wouldn't have lost it.
My uncle was a gum chewer, especially after his teeth fell out.
Liquor stores are still accepting checks. However, now they're asking for 2 forms of false ID. If a cop asks you when you started drinking, don't tell him back when you were sober. You know, if there's a robbery at a convenience store, does the police dispatcher say, "There's a 7-Eleven in progress"? You know, I see that my biggest critic is in the hospital. He's on the critical list. I went to a sidewalk sale. Do you know you have to bring those things home yourself? Nobody helps you with those things. They're pretty heavy.
After 3 attempts to parallel park, my self-driving car finally asked me to do it.
My mother thought that I was a doctor. She was always yelling, "What's wrong with you?" What's wrong? If I'm a doctor, I would know. Patrick Henry's dog said, "Give me liberty or put me to sleep."
Hey, I asked the pretty lady what it was like to be drop-dead gorgeous. She said it was fine, except for all the dead guys.
Well, admitting me to the hospital, they said, "Do you have any religious preference?" I said, "Well, that depends on my diagnosis, whether I need one or not." My uncle had a shotgun wedding. He's still married to that gun, in fact. 25 years now. It's been...
The doctor told me to lose those love handles. I'm sure gonna miss that woman. Hey, you know, my uncle has the worst luck. At the dog track, he adopted a retired greyhound. How was he supposed to know that his neighbor had a retired rabbit?
I got a recall notice telling me to return my car to the dealer as fast as possible. Fortunately, it was the same day that it got repossessed. So it was going back anyway. It was...
My grandfather was always saying, "You get my goat! You get my goat!" I never knew what he meant by that. Well, then he passed away and they read his will. And I got his goat! That's what he meant. I got his goat.
I'm glad that I'm finally getting some recognition. The police say that I'm a person of interest. I said to my ex-girlfriend, "What happened to us?" She said, "Read my blog." You know, some jobs only last so long. Like this morning, I went to work and my boss told me, "So long." I told my young friend that Bo Diddley had died. He said, "What did Diddley do?" What did Diddley do?
It was so sad when my grandfather died. He had just bought a pack of those forever stamps.
They asked me if I was going to go to church this week. I said, "I don't know. What day is it?" You know, I've got one of those weed whackers with the fishing line. Now, I don't want to say that my weeds are big, but yesterday I caught a 10-pounder. They asked me when I last saw the deceased. I said when he was alive. I asked my friend if he wanted any honey-roasted nuts. He said, "How do you know they're honey-roasted?" I said, "Because my honey roasted them." Oh, honey, more nuts?
I entertained at a prison once. I had a captive audience.
You know, I got a tattoo. However, I didn't want to put it where nobody could see it. Well, it worked out fine as long as I don't wear any pants. It was announced that the Pope refuses to listen to Motown music, saying, "Lead me not into the temptations." My high school class had its 40th reunion, and all these old people showed up. More and more people support drilling off our coastlines. Just another example of moving our jobs offshore. Police stormed a nudist colony today in what's being called the longest raid in history. After the raid, each officer was disciplined for being out of uniform. At the nudist colony. I had to complain at the restaurant. I said, "This lamb tastes like sheep."
You know the problem with putting your money into a blind trust? Trying to find it.
People say I look just like my father. I say, "Yeah, I inherited his clothes." That's what I look like. The optometrist says that I'm not a good candidate for laser eye surgery. Apparently you need to have some money. I'm not a good candidate. I cleaned my refrigerator this morning. I ate the last thing in it. I said that I was on a liquid diet. They asked me how much I've lost. I said 2 gallons. Scientists have created a robot that can be used to detect prostate cancer. Now if they could just warm up that metal finger, that would fix everything. Dashing through the snow! Don't put real snow in the studio! I'm gonna kill myself! What's wrong with you? I'm gonna get fired! The toilet backed up at my house last night, and it was terrible. I didn't have enough time to yell, "Tsunami! Tsunami!" You know, I found out cats can swim. Yeah, boy, is he pissed. Tarzan lived in a tree house. You know the one word he never said? Timber! He never said that. You know, in the fall, they told me to move my clock back. Now it's so far away from the bed I can't see it. You know, I worried about my surgery when I noticed that the doctor was eating a Butterfingers. He was eating a... Oh, God.
The doctor told me that my uncle was at the end of the road. I said, is there room to turn around or does he have to back all the way out?
At confession last week, the priest said that nobody had ever admitted to doing that before. I said, I know, I committed an original sin.
I found out that my bank opened a fake account in my name. It's okay though, this one has money in it.
They said, Joe, have you ever seen the Nutcracker? I said, no, but I felt it. I felt it before. My car learned a new trick. I taught it how to roll over. My dentist is always yelling at me. I mean, it doesn't matter how much I brush or how much I floss, the dentist yells at me. Like last time I was there, he said, when are you going to pay the bill? Guy always yells at me. My wife drives like Danica Patrick, around in circles. She does. At the nudist colony, they complimented my outfit. I looked down and said, what, this old thing?
My doctor said that I had 48 hours to live. I said, Doc, doesn't the time change this weekend? He said, that's right. You got 47 hours to live.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I practice safe sex. Someday I'm going to find a girl and all that practicing is going to pay off.
I stopped dating the girl because her car broke down. I wasn't getting anywhere with her. Because her car broke down.
My father told me to never look back, which makes driving in reverse quite an adventure. They asked me if I could teach driver's ed. I said as long as Ed follows directions and pays attention, I should be able to.
The doctor said, your uncle might not make it another night. I said, well, how many more days does he have left? My boss said that he did not tolerate drugs. I said, well, maybe if you start off with small doses and work your way up,
I was caught in a drag net yesterday. I've just got to stop swimming during fishing season. Damn drag nets. I had no choice but to get my cat fixed. I found out that he had 9 wives. My car has one of those new backup cameras. Do you know how hard it was to take all those wedding pictures in reverse? I'll tell you.
You know, I can tell that my self-driving car is growing up. Yesterday, it pointed at a Mercedes and said, hey, look at the headlights on that one. Even I looked. My uncle went out with a soccer mom. And he scored! He scored! Soccer mom. He scored! You know, older folks have certain sayings like, "My cracky." I was talking to an old dentist yesterday. He said, "Bicuspid, bicuspid." I told the doctor that I heard a ringing in my ears. He said I was an alarmist. You know, there was a time when females would flock around me. Of course, they were female sheep, but that's why they flocked around me.
My new used car was actually flood damaged in New Orleans. I found out when the Coast Guard pulled me over.
My dog is so dumb. I said to it, "Who's a good dog? Who's a good dog?" It didn't know. So now you just stand in the snow.
A group of infants escaped from the maternity ward and wandered onto the freeway this morning, bringing traffic to a crawl. The infants brought traffic to a...
I tried to stop a bank robbery yesterday. I yelled, "Stop! Before I take a picture of that cop shooting you!"
My wife and I were having an argument. She said, "You never take out the garbage." I said, "That's rubbish." She said, "Okay, you never take out the rubbish." I knew that my father didn't want me in his business when he named it Dyson, Dyson, and somebody else. They asked me when I last saw the deceased. I said, back at the funeral home.
They asked me if I was a mama's boy. I said, well, that depends. What's the mama look like? My self-driving car is so lazy. Yesterday, I had to drive.
I'm powering my car with cooking grease. It runs pretty good, but the cholesterol is going to the ceiling. I'll say one thing about racehorses. They leave it all on the track. You know, there's one word you don't want associated with your family tree. Timber! After my last physical, the doctor told me, you've got to stop drinking, you've got to stop smoking, and you've got to stop cussing. I said, what the... I said, what the... You know, you can't trust people nowadays. You know, a guy gave me a quarter, so I bid it to see if it was real. Wouldn't you know it, it turned out to be chocolate. They asked me if I ever thought about all of my old girlfriends. I said every time somebody says, hey, how's what's her name? I think all of them. My doctor said that men over 50 need to have their prostate checked. I said, okay, give me a rubber glove and bend over.
They asked me if I ever saw the goodbye girl. I said every time I go on a date, goodbye.
I will now read the last will and testament of Ward Cleaver. Leave it to Beaver. Don't ask. Okay, where is that town called Out of Service? Every time I try to catch a bus, that's where it's going. Out of service. People ask me if I miss my youth. I said, no, he moved out years ago. Don't miss him at all.
They asked me if I've ever apologized profusely. I said, no, but I bled that way. When I went to the doctor, he gave me a shot. When I got home, I realized that I had forgotten something. I called him up and said, yow!
You know, I finally figured out why anchor men don't go swimming.
They asked me if I saw the Magic Kingdom. I said, no, I don't do those drugs anymore.
Disappointment today regarding the first man to undergo a sex-face brain transplant. He hasn't been the same since. I like to stay in shape. Round is a shape, isn't it? I got a text message from the driver behind me who said, my horn doesn't work. Honk, honk. At the ballpark, they're having Turn Back the Clock night. Tonight's game is being played yesterday. I told my doctor that I'd stop smoking if he did. He gave us both 6 months to live.
Oh, I found out why my new pants were defective. They fired number 42. They weren't inspected by number 42. My incontinent uncle would go to the bathroom in places where he shouldn't. He would void where prohibited.
You know, I can't keep up with today's fashions. Like yesterday, I went outside with a nose ring in my ear. I can't tell them apart. Well, in fact, I didn't even know it until I tried to blow my ear because I had a nose ring in it. So I bought a new solar scale. Now I weigh less at night. Think about it.
I used the shampoo that they gave me at the hotel. Now, how was I supposed to know it was the Yes, More Tears formula? I haven't cried that much since I got the bill. Yeah.
Miss America shocked officials today when she requested to use her maiden name. Pageant coordinators quickly recorded a version of "There she is, Miss Smith."
The judge restricted my license so I can only drive to work and back. What a rip! Now I have to get a job!
I bought one of those new low-flow toilets. I mean, why should it flow faster than I do? I'm suffering from diminished capacity. I can't hold as much beer anymore.
You know, all the neighbors think I have an electric car just because I have to jump it every morning. I told my doctor that my sex life was going out the window. He told me to close the window. I applied for a job at the carnival running the beanbag competition. Only problem is I couldn't open my mouth that wide. They asked me if I look like my mother or my father. I said I've been told that I look like my father. However, when I put on a dress, I look a lot like... Oh, I found out something at the hospital yesterday. Don't run into the emergency room yelling, "Emergency! Emergency!" They don't like that.
So, here I am. I've ridden up and back and forth to get up to the top of this mountain. I open up my camera, and the message says, "Batteries are exhausted." The batteries are exhausted? I rode... Excuse me. Sorry, folks.
My doctor told me that I had hemorrhoids. That didn't sit well with me. That didn't sit well.
I said to my wife, "Have you ever been untrue to me?" She said, "Before or after I answer that question?" My wife asked me if I'd helped dressing the turkey. I asked, "Why? Is it going somewhere?"
I can really tell my dog is getting old. Yesterday, he barked at the mailman and said, "Bark, bark, bark, Cracky, bark, bark."
I told the man that I was a bean counter. He asked me how long I've been doing that. I said, "Oh, for 7 beans now." Since my boss started using email, she no longer yells at me. Now she types it all uppercase. But the vet told me that my cat was on its last legs. I said, "How in the world could all 4 legs go out at once?"
My friend was going to have a baby, and they already knew it was going to be a girl. So just like on the Addams Family, they decided to name it Wednesday. But he was born premature, so they named it Tuesday.
You know, it's going to be a long trial if the judge says, "Jehovah, call your first witness."
Am I the only one who thought that a midwife was the one between the first one and the third one? She was the middle one. I got myself a student loan. Currently, he's mowing the backyard. Hey, you know, I finally found a psychiatrist who understands me. He hates my mother, too. My wife says that I don't listen to her. At least I think that's what she says. Automakers warn that those little backup cameras should not be used to look at girls.
You know, you never want to take a girl out on a date to a nudist colony, because all the other women are wearing the same thing. A lot of people don't know that I'm an environmentalist. Why, just yesterday, my wife told me to pack my bags. I said paper or plastic.
Okay, in that new movie, when Luke Skywalker walks out on his wife, he says, "May divorce be with you." Divorce be with you. The judge tied a rope to me and dangled me over the prison. I got a suspended sentence.
My tax preparer says that I cannot claim alcohol as a dependence.
My father never understood me. I asked him for a board game, so he gave me a piece of plywood and a saw.
They asked me if I ever got a letter in high school sports. I said, sure, it was an F. A cop pulled me over and said that I was going 120 miles an hour. I said, that's impossible. The guy in front of me was only going 110. Goodbye parties for laid-off employees are always sad, especially when you're the jolly good fellow.
I'm so disappointed with my exterminator. He told me this process would not harm my pets. I guess he didn't realize that I had pet termites. To ease my chest pain, the doctor told me that I should stop thanking people from the bottom of my heart.
My credit is really good. I called up and asked what the status of my student loan was. They said it was outstanding! Outstanding! Well, that's not quite the way they said it, but still it was...
I knew that our relationship was in trouble when I asked her what time it was, and she said the 12th of never. You know, it doesn't matter whether I went to school back east or out west. I got the same grades. C to shining C's.
You know when your date isn't going to give you a good night kiss, when it wasn't a good night. It's usually what she doesn't.
The doctor told me that I have a split personality. I said, I'm sorry, Doc, but the other guy wants to have a second opinion. The other guy.
Oh, I found out something. If they ask you to say something at a friend's funeral, don't say, put a fork in him, he's done. Put a fork in him.
The doctor said that The doctor said that I almost died. I'm sorry, folks. I think I'm hilarious. Okay. The doctor... The doctor said... Okay, I swear I can do this. I don't write them, folks. I just laugh at them. The doctor said... Okay. The doctor said that I just love doctor jokes. The doctor said that I almost died. I said, I'll try harder next time. My lawyer has been disbarred. He's been thrown out at this bar and that bar and the other bar. He's been disbarred.
The doctor said that I needed brain surgery. I said, Doc, I need brain surgery like I need a hole in the head.
The Pope said that all animals go to heaven. Well, I've decided that on Judgment Day, when I'm standing in front of St. Peter, I'm going to say, I think that my doctor has watched too many soap operas. Like just yesterday, he told me that I have one life to live. One life to live. That was a soap opera.
There's a mouse in my house, and even I'm afraid of it. Every time I see it, it says, here I come to save the day. That's a mighty mouse.
My uncle is using a walker nowadays. Johnny Walker.
My friend told me that he hadn't had sex in a month. I said, yeah, divorce will do that. They had a layoff at work yesterday. Luckily, I was in the restroom at the time, so they fired the guy who sits next to me. Woo, I tell you.
You know, my act goes over best on Halloween. I mean, everybody's out there yelling, woo, woo. Oh, God. When the doctor told me that I had whooping cough, I said, whoop, 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 whoop.
Hey, You know, I have to question my doctor's bedside manner. He says to me, "Mr. Dyson, I recommend that you have this surgery." I said, "I'd like to get a second opinion on that." He said, "Okay. Mrs. Dyson, do you think that Mr. Dyson should get this surgery?"
They asked me the last time I experienced road rage. I said when I went out to my car and it went durr. And I said, "You piece of garbage! You piece of trash! You! That's the last time I had.
When I returned the rental truck, they tried to charge me for damages. I said, hey, it was a convertible when I got it.
I asked the man if he had ever run with a pair of scissors. He said, "How did you know? How did you know?"
The accelerator stuck on my car, and it was terrible. I got to work 20 minutes early.
I said, "Doc, I'm sorry I'm late for my appointment." He said, "No worries." I said, "So, what's my diagnosis?" He said, "Big worries."
I get so emotional sometimes. My wife asked me what type of tree that was. I said it's a weeping willow. I said it's a... Oh, yeah.
My doctor is giving me mixed messages. He gave me a prescription for medical marijuana and then told me to quit smoking.
They asked me what I thought about the World Health Organization. I said, who? Who? World Health Organization.
When I asked my mother if I would ever get taller, she said that I should lower my expectations. I was so disappointed with my new electric vehicle. They won't let me take it off the golf course.
Before my sentencing, the judge asked me if I had any statement to make to the court. I said, "Yes, I do. We find the defendant not guilty." This was the statement I wanted to make.
After our cargo ship sank, slices of processed cheese started floating ashore. The Coast Guard has issued small craft warnings. Small craft warnings. Chunks of cheese.
Hey, you know, my wife uses sign language, which is great because last night she used it to tell me she wasn't speaking to me.
I was thinking of getting an implant, but I didn't want to enter the penal system. My cat lost some weight. This morning I vacuumed up a half a pound of her.
You know, you don't want to go out on a date using a self-driving car. Right after the movies we went parking, she made out with the car.
After I sent my book of poetry to the publisher, they sent me a rejection slip that rhymed. I guess that makes sense.
Hey, I found out how to travel out of town for free. Yeah, I asked the judge for a change of venue. How about Hawaii, Your Honor?
My wife says that I don't plan for the future. So I asked her what we're having for dinner. In the future, right?
My cat has expensive taste in cat food. He only eats goldfish.
I knew there was trouble when I asked her how many men there were before me. And she said, "Does that include the guys I didn't marry?" The FDA has issued a warning about donuts. If the cream is crispy, check the expiration date. I found out how to turn off that check engine light. A ball peen hammer. Take care of it. Hey, I got into a George Lucas movie. He caught me on the security camera. You know, I can still remember the second time that I lost my virginity. My wife started using a new face cream that makes her look 10 years younger. The problem with it is it makes me look 10 years older, but...
You know, I don't know why they make Scotch tape. I mean, what a waste of good Scotch. My wife told me that her favorite flower was the forget-me-not. At least I think that's what she said.
The doctor asked me to rate my pain on a scale of 1 to 10. I said,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I see that you can play cards on your computer now. Why, yesterday I tried to play 52 card pickup. You know, that monitor broke into more than 52 pieces. Still trying to put it together.
The psychologist testified that I was insane. I said, Your Honor, I was nowhere near sane at the time.
Most Americans are reported to have Phil Collins songs playing in their heads. Doctors recommended getting colonoscopies as a way to get rid of these Phil Collins songs. Colonoscopies. Efforts are moving forward to lower the age of adultery.
At the baseball game, it's often asked where the tradition of announcing the batter's last name twice came from. Well, actually, it started with the inventor of baseball. Abner Doubleday! Doubleday!
The surgeon walked into the bar, and the bartender asked, What can I get for you, Doc? A Bloody Mary? He said, No, I'm off duty now.
When I sat down, my deck chair broke. I hit the deck!
I've had a lot on my mind recently. The bookcase fell on my head. I've had a lot on my...
I got myself one of those inflatable ladies. First night, she got a flat tire. You know, my wife thinks I'm a mason. She told me to hit the bricks. My boss is always giving me stuff. Like today, he gave me my 2-week notice. Always giving me stuff. After the surgery, my doctor asked what he should do if I suffer an arrest. I said, bail me out.
My friend told me that he was a house husband. Yeah, he married his house last week.
You know, I'm going to stop listening to my vet. That guy can put you to sleep.
You can tell if a dog is happy if it wags its tail. I once met a dog who didn't have a tail, and he wasn't happy about it. They asked me if I practiced my religion. I said, no, I just go down there on Sunday and wing it. Try to remember. Little help here? My doctor told me to use preparation H. I said, but doc, what's wrong with me? He said, do I have to spell it out?
An arborist told me that my tree was on its last limbs.
So I took my car to the garage for their special bumper-to-bumper checkup. Just $19.99. Only took them 2 minutes to come back and say, your bumpers are fine. That'll be $19.99.
My boss revealed that he only had 1 month to live, so I immediately turned in my vacation request.
They asked me how my car ended up in the bay. I said I put it in cruise control, and it took a cruise. My dad would always say, I just can't win. I just can't win. I said, Dad, why do you go to the horse races? He said, I just might win.
I took my wife out to a high-priced place last night. We went to a gas station. Fill it up.
You know, when we were planning our wedding, when I found out how expensive it was going to be, my friend suggested that we run away. But she found me again.
The rancher who stole the hay was not allowed to take the hay to jail with him. He was being held without bail.
After the lady had the surgery to lengthen her chin, I said, why the long face?
My grandfather lives in the past. I asked him what time it was. He said yesterday.
I saw a guy sleeping on the job yesterday.
I literally had to nudge him and say, driver, that's my stop ahead.
I got in trouble for being the teacher's pet. I guess I wasn't supposed to pet her.
I was driving past an accident scene yesterday, and I was trying to take a really good look when I realized I don't have a rubber neck.
Since I've lost my job, I've stopped referring to myself as the working poor. Many years ago, I ran into a famous singer. I had a Freddie Fender bender.
I said, Judge, we find the defendant guilty as charged. The defendant jumped up and vowed to kill all of us jurors. I said, Judge, they find the defendant guilty as charged. That's what I said.
There's a chance that your steak hadn't been cooked long enough. If it walks out to your table, it's because you have an idea, maybe it's... My wife asked me if I ever wished I had married someone else. I said no, not since I've seen her latest picture on Classmates.
Oh, I found out why my pet chicken won't fight. He's a chicken! He's a chicken! They asked me if I'd be willing to die for my wife. I said, sure, I eat her cooking all the time. Just kidding, dear. Keep cooking.
When the new nurse came on duty, she said, Mr. Dyson? Joe? How would you like to be referred to? I said, oh, just call me what all the other nurses do. She said, okay, asshole, how you doing this morning?
Hey, I ordered this product that's supposed to show me what I'm going to look like when I get old. They sent me a mirror.
They asked me when I got my last new car. I said back when my car was new.
Patrick Henry said, give me liberty or give me death. His wife said, that's nice, but the choices are between soup and leftovers. Kenny G plays the violin on his new album called G-Strings. My neighbor cleaned out his garage last weekend. He told his son to move out. Times are rough. I had a bum come up to me and say, can I get $10 to get a bite to eat? It's tough times, I'll tell you.
They're going to remake an old movie, but they're not going to update it in any way. It'll be called Thoroughly Yesterday Millie.
Officials discovered a Playboy bunny walking around totally naked. She was taken to the hospital for observation.
You know, these self-driving cars are getting so lifelike. Why, just yesterday, my mechanic gave it 6 months to live.
I took out a girl who was very proactive. She broke up with me when I picked her up.
I hit a tree with my car yesterday. It happened so fast, I didn't have enough time to yell, timber!
My doctor's always telling me to stop doing things. Like yesterday, he told me to stop seeing his wife. They asked me if I was over my former girlfriend. I said, not anymore. Not anymore. My car tire died. It flatlined.
You know, I'm not in favor of medical testing on animals. Then my doctor said that I was going to be the first one to ever receive this type of surgery. I said, Doc, maybe we should try this on Fido first.
Man, somebody created a fake news story about me. I didn't know anything about it till everybody started showing up for the funeral. You should have seen their faces when I opened the door. Ah!
They just raised my garbage bill. For this much money, they should be delivering it instead of taking it away.
Oh, there's a movie out that's a real tearjerker. Well, a friend of mine said, have you seen the tearjerker yet? I said, no, I haven't. A week later he said, have you seen the tearjerker yet? I said, Yes, I did. I've seen the tearjerker.
I'm so lonely that sometimes I deploy my airbag just so I can talk to that lady from OnStar.
When I was young, I spent a lot of time being drugged. I was drugged to church, I was drugged to school, I was drugged to...
My self-driving car is so confused. Yesterday it chased a dog.
The bad news is that I'm living in my car. The good news is that I'm parked in front of my old house.
I was asked where I found the ad for the used car. I said that was classified information.
They've created a new ointment for saxophonists who are named Kenny. It's called Preparation G.
They asked me how I got the flat tire. I said that there was a fork in the road.
My boss sent me down to buy some drug testing kits. I said, how much should I spend? He said, I'll buy a nickel bag of them. They won't let me drink when I'm driving. Now I can't text while I'm driving. Pretty soon they won't let me golf while I'm driving.
The cop said, "Come out with your hands up." Do you know how hard it is to open your car door with your hands up? Fortunately, I had my dentures on.
I'd be happy to buy drinks for everybody in the house, but I don't drink in the house. A gag order was lifted today when the jurors couldn't understand the defendant. Once removed, it was much easier to hear him yelling, "Death to you all!" But with that gag order, I couldn't understand. My friend is a duck hunter. Every time he hunts, we duck. They accused me of being a self-promoter. I said, how do you think I graduated? I threw out my back last night. Luckily, the garbage man hadn't come yet, so I was able to pick it back out again, but it was a close call. They posted a list of the 10 most stolen cars in America. Sure enough, I've stolen all 10 of them.
How come there's no setting on your alarm clock for when the cows come home? After performing a job well done, they told me to give myself a pat on the back. I said, well, that depends. How much does Pat weigh?
I got bad financial news today. My living trust died. I found out something about those new computers. The touch screen doesn't work on a porn site. Now that I'm mature enough to buy a fast car, I don't have the guts to drive it.
I've been like a second father to the kid next door. I go drinking with his dad. The last time I asked a girl for a date, she told me that it was March 29th. Do you know which baseball pitcher always did this before every pitch? Cy Young.
I told the jeweler that I wanted to buy a ring for my girl. He asked me how big her nose was.
They tested my alcohol level, and I passed out with flying colors.
My father was a man of few words. He would say, "Joe!"
I invested in a big ticket item today. The cop caught me going 120. You know, it's tough getting older. My doctor told me to cut down on salty language.
Well, here I am on a bike ride, and I happen to be right above Lucas's ranch. Yes, in fact, let's give him a call here. Hello, George. Hey, Joe Dyson. The king of the dad jokes. The Dyson show. No, George, I'm the white guy. No. Anyway, listen, I'm right above the ranch. If you need anybody to play a bit part today, just... You don't? Okay, well, listen, if you ever need... George? Hello?
Hey, you know, I'm starting to get recognized around town nowadays. People see me and say, "Oh, it's you again."
You know, I can't go to strip joints anymore. My doctor told me to avoid pasties. What? Oh, pastries! Oh, pastries! I guess I can go to strip joints. Well, gotta go! Bye!